MAGA versus the naysayers, that's the focus of tonight's angle. After years of downplaying Biden's inflation, Democrats and the press want you to believe that they really care about the cost of living and middle-class jobs. They're all singing, though, from the same hymnal.
What the result of the Trump tariffs is that all these small businesses get clobbered.
He issued across the board skyrocketing tariffs that are destroying businesses throughout the United States of America. And he did it just because he wanted to issue some really cool tweets.
What I'm hearing from people all across the state of Minnesota, these tariffs are crippling my business. They are crushing me.
What he has done is shock the economy of the country and the world, and we are not prepared for it, which is to say it's not just the price of consumer goods, it's also the jobs that are going to be lost. You don't just get those back immediately.
Oh, now they care about middle-class jobs. Okay. And, of course, there are endless articles about the disruptive effects of Trump's policies. Because after the November shellacking, Democrats and their allies now pretend to be worried about the constituency they've repelled with their radical policies. So it's nonstop talk of Trump, his tariffs causing disruptions to the consumer, businesses, and yes, as president, Trump has said repeatedly, right, that we're in a transition phase. But any disruptions are temporary and necessary for the survival of America. But you know what wasn't temporary for 5 million Americans? The offshoring of their jobs because of reckless trade policies that have been pushed for decades by a globalist establishment. Plus, you want to talk about disruptions? Where was the media outrage over what happened in places like Akron or Pittsburgh or Youngstown, Rochester, when their factories closed, families were destroyed, operations moved overseas? They were given notice and they were told to learn code. Factories are still closing down. Like an Ohio paper mill that has been in business since the 1800s. It announced that it's closing operations, laying off 700 employees, including these men.
When we found out, it was absolute shock, and I think everybody in the mill is still in shock.
You didn't think it was coming to Chillicothe. You thought it was happening in other places, and then when it hits here, it just leaves you raw.
Tim Jenkins has dedicated most of his life to the mill, along with Jeff Allen, who've both worked there for around 38 years.
Me and Jeff's dad have worked together, and they retired from here, and now we're going to do the same, but it's just not going to be on our terms.
Trump cares about people like this. Is paper an essential product? Well, it is to that community. It was the glue that held it together. Now, Trump's been watching these stories for 40 years. Entire regions of the country ripped apart because politicians didn't give a damn and other countries took advantage of our stupidity. Everything he's doing on trade right now, everything is designed to try to reinvigorate investment in America and remedy those past wrongs. But of course, the MAGA-hating media, they're hoping for a recession, cheering one on, and they want Trump to fail.
So it's been more than a month, if you can believe it, since Donald Trump announced his sweeping and pretty ridiculous tariffs. But Mr. Art of the Deal, as he calls himself, has not yet struck a single trade deal, not a single one, with any single country.
Oh, not a single one. Bet Jen wishes she had held that thought.
This deal just fell into place. The Prime Minister did a fantastic job. His representatives are total professionals, and they got along well, and it just seemed to work. Things are going to move very quickly both ways.
Trump was tired with the slow, conventional approach to trade deals. He felt they didn't get to the reset that we needed. So he had to try something more drastic to change the dynamic. He described his deliberate disruption theory.
I think one of the reasons it did is because we blew up the whole system. If we would have just been dealing with you separately or, country by country, we blew up the whole system. It was very fair to very unfair to the United States. And I think because of that, this worked out so nicely. And I'm honored that it was the first deal.
Yeah, the globalists blew it up. Trump's trying to fix it. And that's just the beginning. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said today that dozens of deals will roll out in the next 30 days. And China talks are next.
Scott's going to be going to Switzerland, meeting with China, and they very much want to make a deal. We can all play games. Who made the first call? Who didn't make it doesn't matter. It only matters what happens in that room. But I will tell you that China very much wants to make a deal. We'll see how that works out. Every country throughout the last 40, 50 years has literally ripped off the United States on trade, on military, on protection, on all the different things. And we are now making fair deals.
Finally. And by the way, why does China need to make a deal?
J.P. Morgan is projecting that they expect a 75 to 80% drop in imports from China this year because of these higher tariffs.
Yeah, and despite China's tough talk, they can't replace our consumers. China's factories are under pressure, including ones that make American flags. No, this is the scenario Trump wanted to create. And to all the complainers, you know what I say? What is your alternative to allow China to dominate global trade and ultimately destroy our own independence? But the defenders of the old globalist status quo, who see no issue with the decline of U.S. manufacturing, they're hung up on the process.
Don't back China into a corner. The market was very optimistic, very happy about the idea that there was a UK deal today. But I think we solved the problem we didn't have with UK today. That's what that trade deal was. But no, I wouldn't structure it this way. I would not shock the economy. Because this shock system of coming up with something crazy and then backing off of it over time is creating unnecessary panic, unnecessary losses.
Yeah, panic on people who made a lot of money off the backs of the American middle class. What about the future gains that are coming to hardworking Americans? Do they count?
I think we can say that we'll be close to $10 trillion of investment. I think we're actually at that number now if you add up some of the ones we haven't heard about yet. I mean, we have some going up right now. They have plants going up, and they haven't even spoken to us. They're doing it because of the tariffs. And tariffs have always been used against us.
Trillions pouring in. We're going to be keeping track of the progress, because if investment of that magnitude really does materialize, yeah, this truly will be the golden age. Trump's team is working around the clock, trying to do something transformational. How many times do politicians actually do that? Almost never. Because they're trying to ensure that 10 and 20 years from now, we're a stronger, freer, more prosperous, and yes, happier country. Ambitious, but it's the right thing to do, and that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.